All right. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day to come on through the presentation and to learn more about the Center for Intercultural Relations. My name is Dr. Dejan Davis, and I am the director of the CIR. So with that said, just want to introduce you to our team. As I mentioned, Dr. Dejan Davis, director, and then we have Isabel Trainer, who is our assistant coordinator. She's been with the team almost 2 years. And our most recent team member who joined us in the last 5, 6 months is Dr. Kiosha Griffiths, and she is our program and operations coordinator. And so,
Dr. Davis,
yes.
I don't think you're sharing that screen
Oh,
because we don't see the next
there
slide.
we
There you
go.
go. Perfect.
My apologies.
No.
All right. Here we go. So once again, myself and then Isabel Trainer, assistant coordinator, Dr. Kiosha Griffiths, program and operations coordinator. We are a team of three. Dr. Griffiths will be assisting in this following year as also our coordinated care advisor, which will provide academic counseling and support to our students who are part of the multicultural learning floor. We are adjacent and tied to the multicultural learning floor, and so that pertains to first-year students who have chosen to be a part of that learning and living community. We provide, once again, academic support as well as a class in the first semester, 1-unit class that basically ties them back to our center and so forth. So just to give you some history, the CIR was the first identity center on campus created out of student activism in 2003. The CIR serves as a cross-cultural space that welcomes students from various backgrounds and identities, and the center supports the academic, personal, professional success of students through multicultural programming, academic advising, and wellness support. I do want to expound on that a little bit. This year, we were recipients of the Parent Grant, which really allowed me to expand our programming to focus more on career readiness, mental health and wellness, as well as leadership development. And so I'll share with you a few of the events that we've hosted through that grant, which we're very grateful for because it really helped us to expand and to add to what we have been prioritizing. My approach and philosophy, just to interject, is really to look at holistic development of students, not just one area in particular or another, but really to develop the student as a whole and to provide a space where they can kind of come here and get that one-stop shop development, once again, mental health and wellness, academic, leadership development, career readiness, etc. As I referenced, the CIR was the first identity center established in 2003. And a majority of these centers that you see on this slide actually came out of the CIR. So the CIR has served as an incubator that has cultivated various student identities. And as we've been able to gather resources, et cetera, then these centers were established independently. And so all of the centers that you see on this screen are now full-blown centers with their own resources, their own space, et cetera. But as I referenced, a lot of these actually came out of the CIR, and at one point of time, the CIR, once again, cultivated the programming and supported the initiatives. Currently, we are working with the Minnesota community, which is the Middle Eastern North African, or depending on the terminology you prefer, Southwest North African, Southwest Asian North African, which is SWANA. So our location, our center has the following amenities. Once again, we're located in the Student Union on the second floor. To be exact, it's ASU 250 across from Montezuma Hall. And our location has the following amenities. We have a hangout study spaces, living room, microwave, fridge, mind, body, spirit room. And that's where students can come and pray, regardless of your personal spiritual beliefs or practices. It's open to everyone. We have a library with books that can be checked out on various things around social justice, etc. We also have a Swana, a Minnesota Lounge, which you see here in the lower right-hand corner. It was, once again, this also came out of student activism and advocacy. And so it's very authentic pertaining to the Minnesota community and culture. Very relaxed space. It's open for everyone, so it's not just for that community, but it's definitely a beloved space and one that is greatly, greatly utilized by our students. This year, we've gotten a lot of activity in that space. Last spring, we actually had our hard grand opening after having a soft launch a semester prior. And so we really have enjoyed this space and students really appreciate it. In addition, we also provide free printing, Scantrons, and green books. And I would like to interject, we also here at the CIR love to feed our students. So during midterms and during finals, we're very intentional to put out snacks, and on the regular, we have coffee station, tea station on the regular. But especially during midterms and finals, we really try to help our students focus, lock in, keep their blood sugar up, have snacks around, just anything to support their wellness. And once again, we speak the language of food, so we know that students appreciate that. So looking at our signature programs, as I had referenced, we have the multicultural learning community, which is an actual floor in student housing for first-year students. And once again, it's also a class within the first semester in which we cover a number of topics and resources to help support our students. Support groups also, we feature the YMOCA Young Men of Color Real Talks on a monthly basis. Actually today, we'll be talking about positive life experiences and how that mitigates what we call ACEs, adverse childhood experiences. And so every month we have different topics. Today's topic is actually co-ed. Sometimes we'll open it up when we have broader topics. And so that's something that to me is very powerful support group, very powerful forum where we have very rich dialogue and are able to really engage in some meaningful conversation, as well as solutions and ideas where students are able to just share out in a safe space. Last year, we started an initiative called In the Mix, Multi-Ethnic, Multiracial Initiative. This has been a passion project of mine. It kind of this year has tapered a little bit because the person that was helping lead it, she went to study abroad. And so it kind of downshifted a little bit, but nonetheless, it's still a primary area of focus that we're developing at the CIR. 60% of SDSU students self-identify as multi-ethnic, emphasis on self-identify. The way iPads works, it makes you choose, one race or another, and so then it just classifies you. But when talking to students, once again, 60% at SDSU self-identify as multi-ethnic. So we feel like there's a huge opportunity to continue to expand that programming. And I could talk at length about the why regarding this initiative, creating a space where folks don't feel like they have to fit any particular stereotype, even within their own ethnic group or racial group or socioeconomic group. And so I feel like this multi-ethnic, multiracial initiative kind of broadens the reach of the CIR into the greater SDSU community. We also have Swana Heritage Month, which is coming up next month in April, in which we will feature and celebrate the Minnesota community across the vast regions and rich heritages. This month, we're actually celebrating currently right now, Jewish Heritage Month is the month of March. On a national level, it's typically celebrated in the month of May, but at SDSU for students, we celebrate it in March because we know May is the month of graduation and students tend to be leaving us. So here at SDSU, we celebrate it in March in order to highlight the contributions of our Jewish students and Jewish community, et cetera. And then Ramadan tends to intersect with Jewish Heritage Month as well. It's started around February 18th this year, and we will be concluding actually tonight with our iftar. Iftar is a kind of a celebration or a meal in which a community comes together to break their fast. And so tonight will be the last iftar. We've had four of them from the month of February all the way to now. Once a week, we've been hosting these and so forth. So our primary heritage groups that we support, once again, are the Minnesota community, the Jewish student community, and those are our two primary, and then all others. Once again, we really do lean into the intercultural aspect of our name and who we are. So to give you an example of kind of the broad scope and reach of some of the programming we've done, I've actually added some flyers. So you can see here, this year we focused on financial literacy. I've worked very closely with Cal Coast Credit Union, and every month we host different topics. I feel like financial literacy is very important, especially for communities of color, in order to close the socioeconomic gap. While our students are here obtaining an education to go on to be able to have better job opportunities, it's not enough to have a good job. We feel like it's very important for students to understand the power of money and how to be financially savvy, as it were. And so with that said, we partner with Cal Coast Credit Union, and every month we host a session. Cal Coast Credit Union, they bring pizza. Once again, we love to feed our students. It's very engaging. And so this has been a great success. And I've actually moved this around to several other centers in hopes of attracting their audiences and student populations as well. And so once again, this is something that we've done. Another thing that we've done this year, which falls under the mental health and wellness, is the friendships, relationships, situationships. This was massive, a huge success. And we have a young lady who transferred to SCSU from Mesa College. She owns a flower shop. And so we had about 50 students come into our space. We had good food, great dialogue and conversation facilitated by Dr. Ricky Pope, who's a licensed clinical psychologist, and just talking through what does friendships, relationships, and situationships look like in 2026? What does that look like for college students? It was a 2-hour session. At the end of that session, they were able to build their own bouquet. And we even had a rose session where people gave roses to each other in appreciation of friendship and various aspects of support. Really powerful. And then let me slide on over. Diverse Future Career Panels. As I mentioned, our initiatives this year really focused on mental health and wellness and career development. We brought back some very successful alumnus to come back. And the Diverse Futures Career Panel was exactly that. We brought back ethnically diverse students who worked in diverse career paths, everything from STEM to entertainment to business, HR, et cetera. And then, as I've already referenced, our community iftars, we had a leadership checkpoint in which we facilitated workshops on leadership for emerging leaders. And the students that attended that were sponsored for the San Diego State Leadership Summit. So we sponsored about 25 students to go to the Leadership Summit, which was 2 weeks ago. Great event. Lastly, I'll reference the Young Men of Color Mindset Matters, just another example of our monthly talks. We talk about growth, grit, and greatness, mindsets, the impact of positive versus negative mindset, growth mindsets, et cetera. And then one of our biggest events that has been just a phenomenal success has been our Minnesota game nights, where we hosted several in the fall. We basically shut down the CIR in the evening, and it turned into a party. We had food, we had gaming, we had karaoke. We utilized the whole space, and we had a phenomenal turnout, about 70 to 80 students hanging out in the space and so forth. So that's something that we've done to really build community and to really support our Minnesota community as a whole. As I'd referenced, we have the Mind, Body, Spirit room, and we have one here in the CIR, and then there's another one in the Love Library on the 3rd floor that has an access code that we provide to students who want to go in and pray. Primarily at this time, our Muslim students utilize it, but it's open to everyone. It's not exclusive to any one belief system. And so once again, we have one here in the CIR and also another one in the Love Library. And an additional one in room 61 in the dome basement, which is more an individual private room. So I want to talk about challenges. I think this slide really is very important because we work with such a diverse student population and we're supporting so many students from the Minnesota region and Jewish students, as well as all other students from various cultural backgrounds. It can present challenges at times and misunderstandings, and sometimes we need to find ways to build bridges versus barriers. And so such things that present challenges at times are sensitive geopolitical dynamics, such as what we see happening right now over in the Persian Gulf and in that part of the world, because we support students that literally come from that region, and we know that some of those communities are in conflict. Here at the CIR, we have to be very mindful of what students are enduring, of what they're feeling, what they're going through, and we very much try to provide support to all students from all cultural backgrounds. And I think one of the challenging things at times can be is that literally some of the students we support in-house, their communities or countries are in that conflict, locked in that conflict. And so it requires a great amount of empathy and understanding on our part to really, once again, to just be sensitive and to be very aware of what is going on in those communities. Once again, must be mindful of supporting all cultural groups and not othering. And so as we seek to support everyone, once again, we have to be very intentional that in that support, we're not othering or creating in-groups or out-groups. Here at the CIR, I'm very big as the director to not shame and blame cultural groups. We realize that some of these conflicts have persisted for decades, centuries. And so very mindful to, once again, to not shame and blame, to not create in-groups, out-groups. And that's not always an easy task based on what students are experiencing and their sentiments and so forth. My approach through the CIR, which may differ from other centers, is I believe in education over advocacy approach. And that's a personal approach. I've done the work of DEI for several years for the state of California. I'm a consultant and I train various organizations, municipalities in this space. And so what I have found that is effective is education over advocacy. And taking that approach for me personally, it allows me to avoid the shame and blame. It allows me to avoid the othering. Education is objective. It's factual. It's what I call facts over feelings versus advocacy approach. Sometimes in doing that, we can inadvertently shame others or create in groups and out groups that only further creates a polarization rather than building bridges of understanding and connectivity. Once again, that's a unique approach that I take through the lens of cultural and emotional intelligence, which are my frameworks when doing this work. Another challenging thing or an awareness or to be aware of is that the Minnesota community is not a monolith. And so once again, when you talk about the Middle East or the Southwest Asian, North African region, you're dealing with a broad cultural group. Not everyone practices Islam. Not everyone is Arabic in nature and so forth. So being aware of those nuances and understanding that the regions are exceedingly diverse and the cultures and so forth is really something that folks need to be mindful of. And I would say for me being in this role, I've grown immensely and have been schooled, humbled, and educated time and time again as I've grown to understand more about the region and the cultures and the communities that we're supporting. And so if there's anything I can interject is just to understand that the Minnesota region, it's not a monolith. There's so much diversity in those communities in so many ways, from once again, religiously, culturally, linguistically, et cetera. The last thing I'd like to highlight is understanding the Muslim student population and their preferred methods of engaging it and programming. In all transparency, as I came in as director, I saw the Minnesota community as just one big community. and that everyone would want the same type of programming, et cetera, et cetera. And while some of that is true, this year was a great eye-opener as I engaged our Muslim students in deeper dialogue and conversation. I became aware that due to the religious practices, there are times that they prefer to at times even be separated from the greater Minnesota community based on religious practices and beliefs and holidays, et cetera, and how they want to live out their faith. And so that was an eye opener for me, once again, to understand that, yes, while they may share some of the same cultural dynamics, that the religious aspect can create as much a separation in way of community and events and programming as any cultural dynamic could. And so I think that's something that folks need to really understand is that, once again, it's not just one big package, that there are considerations that need to be made for those that want to practice their faith, and specifically, Islam, and so forth. So I'll answer more questions around that as we conclude this. With that said, a new initiative too that I just would like to share out is this year we're really leaning into first generation support. The CIR, once again, seeks to expand its footprint and who it serves. And so Reality Changers, I'm not sure if you're familiar with them, is a very successful program in San Diego that supports first generation students, mostly that come from marginalized backgrounds. It's been very highly successful at sending students across the country to Ivy League schools, to UCs, CSUs, and privates, universities. Well, San Diego State has a large group of active students here. And so this year we partnered with Reality Changers to start hosting workshops and events. And we are currently in the process of building a Reality Changers student organization on campus that can become a welcoming hub for students that are going to be coming to SDSU and graduating this program and coming here. And so once again, supporting first generation students via Reality Changers, and that's coming in the fall of 2026, and connecting with future students and supporting them throughout their college journey is the objective, both academically and socially. So very excited about that initiative. We had some great events this year, and hoping to grow that and really establish them within the CIR and provide support. As I referenced earlier, in the mix was an initiative that we had started and hope to relaunch next year, to look at identity exploration, provide resources and events that help students navigate and celebrate their unique cultural backgrounds, community building, foster connections among students with shared or similar lived experiences, education awareness, encouraging understanding of dialogue about mixed heritage identity and the nuances of race, ethnicity, and culture, and then collaboration, partnering with existing cultural identity-based organizations to enhance programming and broaden perspectives. So with that said, I'd like to provide you an opportunity. I'd love for you to follow us on Instagram. Here are 2 QR codes in which you can subscribe to our Instagram as well as our monthly newsletter. We send out a monthly newsletter that highlights events that we've had, as well as events that are coming within that same month, as well as internship opportunities, resources for students, et cetera. So let me go ahead and stop sharing. All right.